Hello, I'm Sharon.
And I'm Wendy.
Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Brown
Brown Space.
Space. This is a safe space where we talk about the hard topic of racism.
And build empathy through the healing power of conversation.
Thank you for joining us. I'm thinking about that quote about it has the line in there. The one thing you can be certain of is change because change is inevitable, right?
Yes.
Um, I think that at the root of all of this, and it comes back to I guess the reason why we have brown space is that the one thing that we should be looking to change is the way we care for each other as human beings, period. That's what the focus should be. And how are we going to not, I know that we all have our call and our purpose and our thing, but I truly believe that at the root of it all is that we are placed here to care for each other as human beings.
Amen and beautiful.
I agree with that so much, and it reminds me every single time of the song that Whitney Houston did, the greatest love of all, because we have to care about each other. I agree with that, and we most importantly have to care about our children because they are the future. They're everything. So I do agree with that, Sharon.
Yeah,
Very much.
and I very much appreciate the reference.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I love her. She'll never know what she did for me, what she's done for me.
True that. Well, I have been very recently truly interested in random things, like for a month at a time. I was into alpinism for a second. Watched all this stuff about fungi. I was super into fungi for a month. Very much into the Earth's documentaries on the seasons and different things, migrations. These are all the things in the last year I've been watching. What I've noticed is that I have acquired a bit of an interest in science and also a little bit more of a bird's eye view of humanity, because, a lot of times they're talking about us in terms of migrations, swarms, and they include humans in the conversation of a swarm. And when I look at the swarm itself, collectively, the swarm likes to take itself very seriously to our detriment. There is a sense that the swarm actually knows what's going on, which we don't. And so there is also a sense that the swarm feels it can understand through things like research and science, that we will crack the code, right? We're going to figure out how the Big Bang happened, those sort of things. Meanwhile, as we play in that space, we are playing truly at the edge of our ability to be conscious of our own selves. Right. And as I watch that over and over and over, and I look at race and I look at politics and things like that, those scenarios, while they are front and center in our small experiences as humans, when I take a bird's eye view of the swarm, they are very small issues, beyond small. They actually, in a way, aren't real. And so in this way, the swarm is asleep. So a lot of the swarm is asleep. So that's my feeling about, overall the conversation on race and all of this. It's important because there is a day-to-day experience that we're going to have with the rest of our Earth time. And we do want that to be harmonious. We do want that to hopefully be a world where everyone gets what they need and can be themselves. But like I said, when I look back at the swarm from way up here, doesn't even matter. Has nothing to do with nothing. And we still don't know nothing about nothing. So for as much as I can talk about something clearly, I'm constantly saying at the end of it, y'all, I don't know nothing.
I agree. Every time I learn something, I just learn how much more I don't know.
Just out here listening to music and eating, y'all. That's all it is.
I don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing. So, but yeah.
I love that perspective.
I thought that was great. Yes, that was yes.
And you mentioned something that I have wanted to get into here a little bit. You mentioned politics. Y'all live in Florida.
Woo!
There's some interesting stuff happening down there, y'all. I'm in a blue state. Woo! Sorry, I don't mean to get political, but I do. Because what's going on in Florida? How is it impacting your lives?
It's interesting that you should say. I just had thought about a memory. I had a conversation with my son. He is so deep. So, and it goes back to what Christopher was saying about, the fact that we're so concerned with things that it really is not, at the end of the day, important to what our human experiences should be about, right? So he made me laugh. He was like, he went to some social event and, they were like, oh my gosh, and just like that statement you just made, what is going on down there? Florida, do you know all the stuff that's happening in Florida? And he was like, Ma, I was like, am I missing something? And he's up with what's going, it's like, what's going on in Florida? Do you know what's going on? Because it's so infinitesimal compared to the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say I'm a political person in that I just told you I think the swarm is asleep, so I'm not gonna sleep with you. But what I will do, and what I do is allow my choice of music, choice of lesson plan, choice of words, choice of project that I say yes to, who I sign the contract with, what their personal business practices are. All of those things are how I'm political. There is a voice to every dance that you watch, and that voice is going to make you feel dissonant sometimes, inspired sometimes, ambiguously attracted to think deeply about this particular subject other times. And so in this way, I'm very political, but then outside of that, not at all, because you won't have a conversation with me about it. That's not something that will come up. I won't spend that time with you at dinner talking about that. I'd rather talk about what brings you joy. But yes, and my company's response to it, because there is a head of the fish feeling of like civic responsibility to be somewhat political, because I have a nonprofit and I work with kids, and you just can't not do anything. So we do things like very specifically, we started maybe a month ago now a partnership with Rohi's Readery in West Palm Beach, which is right in the middle of white, affluent, downtown West Palm Beach. Rohi's Readery is a revolutionary readery for kids that centers children's books about Black, brown, yellow, and queer kids. So it's exclusively that. They've already existed. We found each other. What we've started to do now is monthly story times. The owner of Rohi's Readery reads to the kids. The last one we did was a book that was centered around dance and loving yourself. And then I come in and I teach gay urban dances to queer families. And so these young kids who are on the queer spectrum come with their parents, listen to the story, and then dance with me. And we've invited drag queens to come and read with us. And so in this way, we're being very political, obviously against the new laws that were just set. But we're also just doing what we always do. So in that way, we were political, and that would be how it affects my business and how we're sort of responding. Mm-hmm.
Are you concerned with backlash?
We already have, unfortunately, been dealing. We were vandalized the week after our first session. So legal repercussions are being taken with that and what have you. But they sure did. They came and vandalized the bookstore.
Yeah, this is the first time that I'm seeing things more blatant than even the previous presidency. Because
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot about who I was friends with that way, or who were out there. But I'm working at a theater company now where a mom walked in and the child was holding I don't remember if this one their child was holding a pride flag, and they were
Mm-hmm.
accused of pushing an agenda. And this is in Boca, and it is little kids. And this person said that I'm going to tell everybody that this is what you're doing here, and I will make sure that nobody else starts coming here. So this just happened recently. I'm like, what is it? Is it evolving? It maybe it is, you know. But I'm ready to find out. I just believe it's an act, and we as the people are being screwed over, because I have a belief that after all these disputes and all these dramatic displays, they still go to each other's holiday parties. I've decided. Okay, and I want to find that out, because it's all a play, because they they do a different scene when there's no when they this is what I've heard, and I can only speak from this, is when they talk in regular work, there's not the offensiveness. The moment the cameras come in to record all these political debates is when they start the acting. I cannot speak for anything. I just have a conspiracy, if you want to call it, that they all hang out with each other at the end of the day, and we are screwing each other over by hating each other when we should be doing the opposite.
Wow.
I was
believe
my new thing, I'm hooked on this series called The Chosen, and I'm smiling a lot and crying a lot because this has been going on for centuries. Whether it was ostracizing and just being so horrible to someone because they had sores on them, the leper, or they had an illness, the woman with the issue of blood, or whatever it is, the way we turn on each other, it makes me cry. It really does. And so, what can we do? I mean, I know conversation, yes, and all of that, but it's a scary thing.
I always say, look, Edgar said it earlier, Miss Whitney Houston, honey, y'all need to deal with y'all children and your household.
Oh yeah.
And you need to deal with the trauma that you grew up with. Hopefully before you have children and get in a relationship. That would be a nice way to buffer all the craziness too. Go ahead and work on yourself before you out there having kids. But if we dealt with these kids, I think it would be a wonderful course of action if we started waking up as many kids as we could.
And it may seem like we're not, but we are getting better.
Yes, we are.
What do you mean?
We are getting better.
What do you mean waking up?
Well, I mentioned that I feel the swarm is asleep. So I would like to see our babies woken up first.
But describe the waking up. Like what?
I would say that I would say that for my own kid,
Mhm.
if there is a way I could raise that baby that they may seek their own personal authenticity first in any given moment, that they may exhibit integrity in the privacy of their own thoughts, and that they value being of service more than being seen or accomplishing something. Those types of things will wake up young people and put them on a trajectory that I believe they would be it would be much harder to have them become, you know, a DeSantis of the world. I just think it would be harder. It would be harder because, you know, people talk about light physically penetrating darkness, that space that the light comes in, literally the darkness cannot inhabit.
That's right.
In this way, those virtues, the work that we're doing in the house with these kids, that is putting that light in there. And it'd be really hard to penetrate that with anything else moving forward. I know it because people fill me with light, and it's really hard to shake me. So that's what I mean by waking up the kids.
I love that.
Illumination, yeah, that's definitely.
Absolutely.
Light does dispel darkness, for sure.
Just,
Yep.
Integrity within your own thought. I think that's one of my favorite turns of phrase that you just said. That's beautiful. This has just been a love fest. Thank you all so much. You've like opened your hearts and you've just poured out your thoughts. Maybe you knew that you had them and maybe you didn't. But just thanks for being authentic and vulnerable and sharing with us and with our huge audience of millions. And hey, maybe you never know.
You never know. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Sharon again for having me with you, Wendy, and Christopher, for being you guys so kind and open and creating the energy where I feel comfortable to talk and more openly hear and learn from you guys. So I really appreciate that.
yes.
Thank
All right,
you.
Booze. Sending love, y'all.
Love to all of you. Mwah.
You've been watching Brown Space with Sharon and Wendy.
It's been so great talking and sharing here today. We look forward to your comments below, or you can email us at brownspace2020@gmail.com.
Remember, you are the light that gives light to the world.